All right, we're gonna get started. I have a training I'm gonna do for you guys today, but if there's something you guys need some help with, let me know. We're gonna do confirmation bias. You guys all know what that is? Does anybody know what the confirmation bias is or commitment and consistency? Hey,
Vaguely.
commitment and consistency. So this is the desire to make decisions consistent with past decisions. Is very strong in humans. The tendency is known as the commitment and consistency bias. And it's one of the most deeply rooted psychological drives of human behavior. Here's a breakdown. So that means and you guys all remember times that you've made a decision and you made a decision. You didn't really want to make the decision, but it fell in line with a decision that you made in the past. Can all of you guys recall a time that you had made a decision because of a decision that you had made in the past? Although you didn't want to do it, you couldn't act differently because this was a decision that you had made in the past. Does anybody remember a time like that? So it's when we make decisions, when we make past decisions, and it's part of our identity. What it allows us, what it makes us do is it makes us continue to make the same sort of decisions again and again and again to be consistent with our values and who we determine that we are. And so this is going to go in alignment with the identity frame. So this is it's very similar, but it's a little bit different because we can get people to make decisions when they've already agreed with us about other particular things. Also, when you work in combination with the identity frame and then you leverage into the commitment and consistency bias, you will get people to make decisions despite them not really wanting to or them not feeling good about the decision. And so this is really important that we use this in combination. Does everybody remember the identity frames that we set up? This is a couple weeks ago. Everybody remember the identity frames? I can't see half you guys, so I'm just assuming that everybody remembers the identity frames. The you are this, so you do this. You are this, so you do this. So this is setting them up to frame them in the identity. If you can frame someone in the identity immediately and you can prop them up as being this type of person, a person that makes this proactive, or a person that makes decisions, or a person that jumps out ahead of things, or a person that values saving money, person that values quality of life. If you can get them to agree to these things, these people will always make decisions consistent with whatever the decisions and stuff, or whatever the value that you had framed them in the beginning. So, do you understand about the commitment and the consistency? When we make decisions, we always will make decisions based on past decisions. We don't want to act contrary because what it does is it sets up cognitive dissonance avoidance. Do you guys understand? People experience discomfort, dissonance, when their actions contradict their self-image or prior decisions. Acting consistently helps reduce that internal conflict for people. So, making decisions consistent with the past decisions that we've made will always lead customers or ourselves to continuously making the same sort of decisions. This is why people always repeat stuff in cycles, especially when you can really do an identity reframe for the customer. They're always going to make decisions consistent with that. Like if I say, hey, really smart customers are making decisions to do this, and I assume you're a smart customer, right? I assume you're somebody smart, and they'd be like, yes, I am smart. So for them to act contrary and to not set the consultation or to not move forward is going to be inconsistent, and it's going to set up some discomfort or dissonance when they're making those decisions. So identity reinforcement, past decisions often shape the identity of everybody. Like I'm a person I'm a person who wants control. I'm a person who wants savings. I'm a person who this is in alignment with. I'm a person with this. I'm a person with that. Whatever that identity frame that you set them up as, something that we recognize in these people, then what we're able to do is identity reinforcement, and they'll make decisions consistent with this. So And then social validation, inconsistent behavior can look flat, flaky, untrustworthy. It's like indecisive. Um, Humans naturally try to avoid this to maintain credibility. So they're maintaining credibility more so than just with us, but they want to maintain credibility with themselves. People don't want to act contrary. And you know this from your own personal life. You don't want to act contrary. So, like, um, if you're a person that works out, like if you say, "Oh, I'm a person that works out," like I consistently work out, for you to act contrary to that, to not work out, it'll create uncomfort. It'll create dissonance. It's going to create something that you don't like because it's not in line or in value with the decisions that you've made in the past. The mental shortcuts, consistency makes decision making easier. So once we make decisions, and we've made decisions in the past, it's always going to make decisions later much easier to make because they just fall in line with what we have. We have maps of the world and we have maps of what we believe that we are internally, and we will always make these sort of decisions that are in alignment with decisions that we've made in the past, especially if you identify yourself as a particular type of person. Everybody on this call, what I identify you guys all in something that I know that you guys are, is you guys are all ambitious. Everybody on the call is really coachable. Everybody wants more for life, right? You guys are loyal. Some of the things that you guys have inside internally, which we've identified, which is how I've attracted this into the organization. And so now, if you make decisions inconsistent with that, it's going to set up some discomfort and dissonance. It's going to create some sort of, misalignment with who you are. And then also the loss aversion, reversing a decision feels like admitting failure or loss. Most people would rather double down than backtrack. Dude, have any of you guys made a bad decision and then you doubled down on it? You knew it was a bad decision, but you knew you had to fall in line. You knew how you had to do this thing consistently, consistent with the decisions that you made in the past. Like I can think of a shit ton of decisions I've made solely based on because I made decisions in the past. This is in alignment with who I am. This is a bad decision, but I'm going to continue to be consistent with my decision-making process. This is a deep human emotional need. This is a huge pull, and this will be leveraged at the doors or at the kitchen table. So how this is going to impact the sales and influence implications. The principle is heavily used. I use this all the time. I used this yesterday 2 times. I used this yesterday 2 times. In fact, the first consultation I went to, the guy was like, "Yeah, I'm going to have to do my research. Yeah, I'm going to have to do my research." I tried closing. I'm like, "Yeah, you have all the time in the world to do this." It's like, "Yeah, I'm going to have to do my research." No, I'm not going to move forward today. I'm going to have to do my research. It was a hard stop, and he said, "I'm going to have to do my research." So I went backtrack and I reframed him because he'd said something in the beginning of the in the presentation when I asked him, "Hey, why are we here?" And he had given me some nuggets, and so I reframed him from his research by absolutely, you're smart. You're a smart person. Smart people love to do research. And so what we found is that smart people understand that this is a good value proposition and they take action on this. And so you're smart enough, like you fall in line with a very smart customer wanting to do research, wanting to be very risk averse so that you don't get taken advantage of. So what we do is we want to start the process so we don't miss out. There's a deadline coming up. There's a big, beautiful bill. There's all these other things. And so smart people at least realize that when they take advantage of this right now, and they have all the time in the world to do research and do everything else, that they have that space and time where they can do this. And what you'll find is that as you do your research, it's going to make more and more sense as you continue to do this. And I went back and I reframed him again, and there was a bunch of stuff. I recorded the whole audio, and I went back there and I reframed him again, and I got him to make a decision to do this. So I'm going to give you some examples here in a minute so that you can leverage and use this. So in Robert Cialdini's book Influence, if you guys haven't read the book Influence, highly, highly, highly recommend you read this book. It's Robert Cialdini, Cialdini. Robert Cialdini was a professor here at ASU, and he wrote a book called Influence. Dude, this is the most powerful. It's not really a sales book, but this is in alignment with sales. Like this is probably one of the greatest skilled book to be able to implement tactics and skills and stuff for sales that I've ever seen. And all it was is a professor that was wondering why he makes decisions when someone comes and sells him stuff. And so he goes over a bunch of stuff, a bunch of things in there that people make decisions, and part of the decision making process is the consistency bias. So we always want to be inconsistent in inconsistency or in alignment with decisions we've made in the past. So if a homeowner told you like 10 minutes ago, I want to be more independent from SRP, you can circle back at that and say, so you mentioned earlier, you said to me earlier that you wanted to be independent. If you're at a home or at a kitchen table, this is going to be a little more applicable inside at a kitchen table or in the home because they're going to give you a lot more information that you can reinforce. Remember, we talked about on Wednesday, we want to actively listen to people. We want to actively be able to categorize them and then be able to draw up something that'll be in alignment with what they want. But what you could do is like if they said, "Hey, yeah, I want to be more independent from SRP," or "Hey, I just want control. Oh, I want to totally be off the grid." You ever get those people? I want to totally be off the grid. Totally be off the grid. So what we want to do is now we want to leverage that similar later on in the sale. Like you mentioned, you told me in the beginning that you want to be totally off the grid. For now, for the first time ever, we're able to do that because we can give you a battery and a solar system and make you 100% energy independent. This is in alignment with exactly what you told me. So based on what you told me, and we're going to leverage and use what they told us. And so for them to act contrary to something that they said is going to be very, very hard for them to do. It's going to be very, very uncomfortable. So now what we can do is we can leverage and we can get them to make a decision because this is in alignment with what they'd want. So this option lets you lock that in. I'd hate for you to walk away from that just because of some hesitation. Let's say it aligned with what you already know and want. So some of the things that you can do. So here's another thing. What are you guys seeing? Let me get some participation here. What are some things that customers tell you at the door? What are some things that you would hear from a customer? What kind of stuff would they say?
Well, do you got a card?
Okay, that's that you didn't build enough value. But what else? We want some ammo. We want some ammunition that we could be using to be able to leverage um, this commitment bias.
Don't believe in the insurance policy or the warranties.
Okay. Okay. Let's isolate that. Okay. So, and let's deep dive a little bit of that. So they don't believe that the warranty. They don't believe it's going to last. Is that what we're saying? So go ahead. So you said, Reggie, was that you? So you said they
Yeah.
don't believe, okay. So they're like, hey, I don't believe the warranty is going to last or something like that, right?
Yes.
So we want to probe a little bit. So what do you mean by that? So what do you mean by you don't believe that the warranty? So you don't believe that the system has the longevity to last 25 years? Is that what I hear you saying?
Yeah. So basically, I told him like he said he don't want nobody on his roof. And then what if they screw something in they wall? Then they go into the house. And then he gotta pay out of his own pocket. And I told him like we cover all that. And he's like, yeah, I'm big on the insurance and the warranties, and I just don't think it's a great idea.
Okay. So, and many of you guys that have done this is a very common objection for people. But there's a specific way that you answer this because if you like, oh no, we cover all that, like you're gonna get in a resistance match. So what we got to do is we got to deep dive down into what his true fear is. His true fear isn't even about the roof. It's about a incompetent contractor coming on and messing stuff up and him being responsible. At the end of the day, it's just the hassle that would be entailed. Is like the roof leaks is one thing, but there's a lot more that's going into this. So the one thing we have to do is like agree. So like one of the things that we do is we want to isolate that. We want to absolutely, hey, you know what? You're not the only customer that has that concern. Every single customer that we talk to, every single client that we talk to has that same sort of concern. Like everybody, we will be putting holes in your roof. We're going to cover them up with flashing, and we have this process makes your roof a little bit hard. Allegedly makes your roof a little bit better than what it was before. But listen, you're the type of guy that probably is a little bit risk averse, and you don't want people making holes in your roof because you don't want to deal with the hassle. You don't want to deal with this. You don't want to deal with that, right? Is that what I hear you saying?
Yeah.
Okay, understood. So I don't blame you. I am the same way, and I feel the same way, and so does everyone else. Nobody wants to get involved in something that has these issues. This is exactly why our company, we have a 25-year roof warranty in writing. Now, I could tell you whatever, I could tell you whatever, like I could tell you whatever I want, but when you have something in writing, that gives you the peace of mind of predictability, of knowing that we're going to be there and you got it covered and you got it in writing. Now, what I found is people like you that are risk averse and that are really worried about this, you guys love seeing stuff in writing because it's physical proof that we're going to stand by our product, we're going to stand by our warranty, we're going to stand by the production of this thing. And what we found is when we run the report and we come back, you guys usually love this because you've probably made decisions before. When you made decisions before, it was based on some sort of proof or some sort of peace of mind that some sort of company gave you. I'm assuming that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is consistent with everything that you've looked for in the past, because what we're going to do is when we come back, we're going to show you how this works. We're going to show you in writing that this is actually in alignment with everything that you want and need. Because you're the type of guy that obviously, if you're concerned about someone making holes in your roof, that you're probably a little bit risk adverse. And so what we found is that people like you are a lot more risk adverse, especially with what's happening with the utility company right now. It's not bringing a whole lot of pain right now, but you're aware of what the utility companies are doing. And so what you actually want isn't so much the peace of mind, you want control. Like most people want control. Everybody wants control of their lives. And so by you taking action and be able to look at the report, you're going to have absolute control for the foreseeable future because now you've taken advantage of the rate plan right now that we have to be able to buy your energy for 50% less, and then to have all of the peace of mind and predictability about having a new agreement that's in writing. So what we found is that people like you typically love this because of based on what you said.
Yeah, I told him my engineer come out and talk all about it with you. He just didn't want to buy it.
Well, if you said it like that, I mean, dude, I could poke a bunch of holes in it. So it's a little bit different. So what I had done psychologically is first I let him know what his fears were, right? Like I'm like, okay, absolutely. Like I agreed, like, oh, 100%, this would be a big concern. This is a concern for everybody. But then I prepped him up into a psychological box and I identity framed him. But then I used the commitment bias to be able to let him know that this is exactly what people like him do. This is exactly the decisions they make. They always want to look at this. So if you look at what I had done, let's unpack this a little bit. So he had said all these concerns. I agreed. I said, hey, you're not the only one. Everybody has these. And I kind of understood that this guy wants control, right? Obviously, if someone doesn't want us to put holes on the roof, they want some sort of control. They want to feel in control. And so now what I did is and then I framed him by saying, hey, a lot of people are just like this. And I can tell by you want the control, you want the freedom. And this is what this looks like today. And people like you typically make decisions to look at this because the reward, you're proactive. So I had leveraged who his identity was, and I had leveraged this to making a decision to at least looking at the report. Does that make sense to you, Reggie?
Yeah, then we went on to where when everybody else have solar, then I get solar, then you come back. And then I had showed him like everybody in the neighborhood basically is getting it. It just went on and on.
Yeah. So so because you're trying to sell this guy, you're not trying to understand his position. You're thinking in context of this is good for you and you got to listen to me versus like, let me listen to him. Let me figure out why he's saying these things. Let me figure out what his real concern is, answer his concern, and then use the identity frame with the confirmation commitment bias to be able to let him make a decision to go solar. So you're selling him. So like I can already tell what happened in that relationship. You guys got in a resistance match, and he's like, "Oh yeah, he's got this, he's got this, he's throwing out all these objections here." And you're trying to overcome the objections rather than listen and respond. You're reacting. So you're reacting to like him, oh, this and that and this. He's like, well, first it's the roof, and then when everybody else goes solar, you can come back to my house and do this and that, and like all these other things. And so it's about taking a step back and not trying to get in a resistance match. Sometimes when we try to overcome, we know we can overcome the objections. We know we have a 25-year roof warranty. We know we have all of these other things. So what we want to do, the next level for you guys is to like, frame him into like, okay, so your big concern is this, right? What I hear you saying is this, right? Absolutely. A lot. You're not the only one. Everybody has the same sort of concern. So what we've been able to do is we've been able to do that. We've been able to give out a 25-year warranty, which is in writing, which is in a physical writing that you'll be able to see. So one of the reasons why this makes sense, and then you go in there, is because people like you want the control. People like you don't want to deal with hassles. People like you want proof. And obviously, this guy wants some sort of social proof, which we can provide when we're in the house. So if he's telling you all these things, it's about you categorizing this person into someone that makes decisions. And by the way, it can be whatever it is. Like anybody can give you any sort of objection. You kind of agree, respond, and retort. But then you say like, yeah, absolutely. This is why we want to work with people like you. We want to work with people like you because you don't just trust everything that comes to your door. There's all the low-hanging fruit's gone in solar. Everybody that was going to go solar, that was an easy mark, that was an easy customer had already gone solar. Now there's people like you that are left that are the people that really want the social proof. And so what we're finding now is because this deal looks so good, because of what the utility companies are doing, you got everybody's going solar left and right. You don't have to wait until all of the tax credits and the subsidies are gone. You're the type of person that's proactive, that you take action. You don't react, you respond to things that happen. And so we want to be able to take advantage of this, and we want to be proactive about this. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Does it make sense, or do you understand, or is it like kind of makes sense?
No, I understand.
So, like any objection that somebody gives you, you got to ask yourself, why are they giving you this objection? What's the true concern? What are they fearful about? And what how does this put them, what kind of category can I put them in so that I can learn better how to effectively communicate with them? So what I've done is I've leveraged an objection and I've turned it around and used it as ammo. So any sort of objection that someone uses, you can immediately agree, respond, retort, and then be able to use that later on inside the sale to be able to help these people make a decision based on their identity, especially if they throw out an objection and you can get to the bottom of that objection, whether you do some fact finding or whether you ask some questions. Now you can get to the bottom of that objection, and now we can learn how to respond and be able to frame them and give them, hey, this is consistent with the decisions that you've made in the past. What you're looking for is this.
Yeah, I totally get it.
I can only see Josh, so I can't see anybody's fucking responses here, man. So it's a little bit different. So you guys just bear with me. So I don't know if I understand if you're getting it. This is not next level. This is like milk. This is not the meat. I'm not giving you guys the meat today. Um, the reason why I mentioned like what are you hearing? So what are you hearing? Because what immediately an objection, they're going to give you information. Any customer that's giving you information, if you can actively listen, they're going to tell you how they want to be sold. Like every single person will tell you exactly how they want to be sold. If they're throwing out objections, they're throwing out concerns. Like we've got to be able to answer those concerns if they're true objections. And then what we do is we leverage because that's going to give us a piece of their identity. You don't have to be a human psychologist to kind of understand what these deep human emotional needs are and what their big concerns are. It's fear-based. It's always going to be fear-based. And so now if you can isolate that, tell them who they are, and then you can align that with decisions they've made in the past. Exactly. Or you can say exactly like this people like you that don't want us to put holes on the roof. These are the types of people that are making the decisions to do this. Because here's the thing, hypothetically, we're worried about some holes in the roof, but really you have holes in your finances. It's called the utility bill. And by the way, it's going to double in 5 years. So I know that people like you that are risk adverse with having holes on your roofs, there's one thing with water leaking in your house, and there's another thing with having with having a leak in your finances. All of your future finances are going out the window to a utility bill. So I think this is much more pressing for people like you. What we found is that people like you have much more concerns with the leak in the finances versus a leak in the roof. And we're going to show you how we avert some of those leaks in the roof, by the way.
Yeah, and I'm always seeming to like come out of cash doing that way. And I don't want to get sued or come out of my pocket.
you get personally sued? What?
Yeah, so he think he's gonna get like money out of his pocket, or he'll get sued because he tired of the financial situations like what you just brought up. So he mentioned that too.
Okay. Well, he had like 50 different objections, and we got into like a resistance match with the guy. So
Yeah, I talked to the guy like 20 minutes straight.
yeah, because he's throwing out objections, and he's just kind of having fun at this point because you keep trying to overcome them rather than just agree. Like, hey, absolutely, I understand, 100%. Yeah, this is exactly why, like, you do this. Um, so does everybody on the call understand what I just did? So I identity framed him. So like he gave a concern, and I overcame the concern. And then what I did is I attached this to his identity, to his decisions that he's made in the past. The other thing is if you can get this guy to like, so maybe like deep dive in this roof. So have you had issues with contractors in the past doing shoddy work? Has this happened to you before? Has it happened to someone that you know before? And so, what happens is our brains are much more apt to look out for some sort of disaster than to gravitate and move towards some sort of joyful experience or some advantageous experience. And so these are the things that are always going to stand out in people's minds. Um, are you guys understanding? Because I can't see it. I only see Josh here. So
I was gonna
you guys-
say
Yeah.
it sounds like though it sounds like whenever they have like some kind of objection,
Sounds
like
good.
metaphorically, you're getting yourself and you're pivoting into their corner, and then basically holding their hand and then following them to the solution instead of talking down on them in a way where you're really just kind of like restating and reframing is basically where you're just getting on their side and getting into their corner, and then walking them through to the solution.
Here's the simplicity. If you can correlate whatever their objections are to being consistent with making a decision to meet with us or to go solar, you will get this person every single time, right? That's as simple as it gets. So if you can correlate making a decision to a decision that they've made in the past about something, or identity frame them, hey, this is part of your identity. People like you make this decision. You will get these people every single time. It will create a massive amount of discomfort for them to not set the consultation or for them to not move forward. That's as simple as it gets. Do you guys understand that? So you got to do the correlation between this. And I know for this is a very, very simple process to be able to do a corollary between them making decision. You can just find the reasons, look for the reasons how this is in alignment with what they want and how this is in alignment with decisions they made in the past. This is why when people start telling us stories about people that have made bad decisions or anything, they're giving us a lot of ammunition to be able to use later on in the sale. So I'm going to kind of give you the other thing is you want to extract mini commitments when you're at the door. So like mini commitments, and I'm working on this on my close because I only go one commitment at the end. And then I'm like, hey, what do you like about this? And then I go in through the thing. But what I'm learning is that we want to extract mini commitments. When I'm at the door, like I'm going to extract a bunch of mini commitments from people. So what I want to do is like very early on in the agreement, like, hey, like, so if we had a way that we could save you tens of thousands of dollars without a financial investment, would this be something that you would be open to looking at? Like, here's the thing. If they say yes, then they've already admitted, they've already said, so they made a decision to say yes at that point in time. And so at the end, if they're like, no, I got to think about it, or I got to do this, I could be like, no, but remember in the beginning, you said you would be open to looking at the report if we were able to save you tens of thousands of dollars without a financial investment. That's what you said. Is that pretty much still in alignment, or did we fall out of alignment with that? And you can be bold and you can ask them that. Now, here's the thing. It's going to create a lot of discomfort if they said yes, if you got them to agree to a mini agreement, and then all of a sudden at the end, they're like, no, I don't have time, or I don't do this, I don't do that. So anytime that you can extract some sort of a mini commitment from the very beginning is going to be able to leverage later on in the sale. People will always make decisions that are consistent with the decisions that they made in the past. So any sort of anything like that. If you're in a home, like why were you guys willing to meet with us today? Why did you guys want to meet with us today? They're going to tell you all the reasons. So if they're holding their cards close, they'll be like, oh, I was just curious. I just wanted to see what this looks like. They're holding their cards close. Like, you're just curious? Like you wanted to give up some of your time for this? Are you sure there wasn't anything in particular that you really liked or that you wanted to see with this report. There wasn't anything that you like. They're going to tell you exactly what it is they wanted to see with the report. So if you're at the door, there's a bunch of things that you could do for mini commitments. Like, hey, and the other thing too is like maybe you're like, hey, SRP sent out the bill. You guys probably threw it away like everyone else. What the bill said is they're going to be doubling everybody's rates in less than 5 years because they're closing the coal plant. A lot of people are freaking out about this, but how does it make you feel knowing that your utility bill is going to double in 5 years? How does that make you feel? Like, oh, that sucks. Yeah, they're always going up or whatever the response is. Be like deep dive in that a little bit. So like if you had a way that you could destroy the utility company, be energy independent and take back your control, would this be something that you would be open into looking at? They'd be like, yes. Like for them to act contrary and say, oh no, I wouldn't want to look at this. Dude, they're acting contrary to who they've identified themselves as because they're already upset about the utility bill. So what we want people to do is we want people to agreeing early on, and we want to be able to leverage that at the end. So I used to do this when I would sit down with one-leggers. So I'd ask in the beginning, maybe I sit down with a one-legger, I'd be like, ask in the beginning, I'm like, hey, does your wife have to be here for you to make a decision? And they would say no. So you can make a decision without them. If it's saving tens of thousands of dollars, they would say yes. And then at the end, you know what they'd say? Oh, I need to talk to my wife. I'd be like, no, no, no. Remember in the beginning, I asked you specifically if you could make a decision without the wife, and you said yes. So what is it do you think that your wife would object about you saving tens of thousands of dollars? What do you think her objections would be? And then you could draw the objections out and you push again to make him make the decision. But if they've agreed to something, a sort of a mini agreement in the very beginning, what we're going to have is we're going to have the ability, capacity to leverage and use that later on in the sale. Asking like if there was a plan, if there was a new utility, oh, here's a good one for you guys. Hey, if there was a new utility company and you heard about it from the news or you got like a mailer or a flyer or even SRP told you there's a new utility company and it was 50% less, would you guys look at it? Would you look at it if it was 50% less? Dude, only an idiot's going to say no. Like, every single customer is going to say yes. So like, awesome. And then all you have to do is correlate our opportunity between what them would agree to. So like what you'll say at that point is like, okay, awesome. And at the end, hey, listen, we're the new utility company. We're not selling you solar. We're selling you half price energy. And literally we're about 50% less than what the utility companies are charging you. So you told us that you would look for another utility company if one was around. And what we're offering right now is that same thing. So what we want to do is set up a consultation. I don't know if you'll qualify. We have to run the report. We have to make sure that you check out. We won't work with you if we can't save you 20%. We won't work with you if there's any out-of-pocket expense for you. But based on what you told me, which is you would be willing to look at a utility company that was less, this is in alignment with exactly what you said you wanted in the very beginning. So for people to act contrary to what they've already admitted that they would do is going to set them up for a lot of discomfort, just for real. This is going to set them up with a lot of discomfort, a lot of pain. They will act consistent to the decisions that they've made in the past. Are you guys getting what I'm putting down at this point?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Yep. And actually, Luke, as a caveat a little bit, because I was getting this quite a bit yesterday with homeowners being like, yeah, no, like I'm happy with SRP. Like, and even with me going, I'm like, hey, look, I know SRP isn't, like they've done a pretty good job in the past, just out of curiosity, like, like how much I'd ask them, like what they're, how much they're currently paying. And it's like, well, yeah. And you've probably seen like the drastic rate increases over the past couple of years, right? Like you've seen your bill creep up and they're like, yeah. And then so that's when I would pivot. I'm like, so just imagine going down to the mailbox, opening up your utility bill and it's $500. Like, how would that make you feel then? And then, and trying to build it from there, but like just breaking them out of the consistency of being comfortable with SRP.
Yeah, so like when people say that, they're just being obstinate. They're being kind of jerks. Oh, I love that. I knocked the door a couple of days ago. He's on the SRP executive board. So I kept pushing this guy. He's on the there's 4 board members on the SRP board that are pro-solar, and the rest are all anti-solar. They hate it. They talk a bunch of shit about it. In fact, they send out mailers every time the elections come around. But, you know, one of the things is that we want to get them to just agree to little mini things like, hey, what do you love about it? So you love SRP. What do you love about them? I think like what nobody fucking loves a utility company. This is the most ridiculous thing I ever heard in my life, dude. You get one choice, dude. You don't have a choice to not dislike them. You can dislike them. You can like them, do whatever you want. You get one choice. What do you like about them? So are you the type of person that likes sameness? Do you just like having the same stuff all the time? And so they're gonna say yes. And so like, so I know you got the insert from SRP, probably threw it away like everyone else. But let me tell you what's happening in there. Because of the power supply adjustment, because they're getting rid of the coal plant and they're building solar fields, whether you like solar or not, SRP is doing it and sell it back to 1,000% markup. The utility bill will double in 5 years. So what are you paying right now? 200? So you got to understand in 5 years, that bill is going to be over $400 a month, every single month. Your new average bill is going to be equivalent to what your high bill is of the year. So you can like them as much as you want because they are a very reliable service. I'm not going to talk a bunch of trash on them. What most people don't like is that they only have one choice. They only have one choice. Now, we're not asking you to change anything in your life. All we're asking is that we come in here, we run a report to see if you qualify. And if you do, you're still using the same electricity that you're currently using. The difference with this is that now it's about 30, 40, 50% less than what you're currently spending. Are you the type of person that will be loyal to a utility company, even if they go up 50, 60, 70, 100%? Would you ever, and you had an option, would you stay with a utility company that would do that? Because who's your internet service? Cox? So let's just say Cox, because what's your bill with Cox right now? 50, 60 bucks? Okay, let's say Cox 1 year was like, hey, we're going to go up $300 a month. That's what the new bill is going to be. Would you stay with them or would you be open to looking for something else? So, little sidetrack here. You're talking. There's people that like. There's people that like variety, and there's people that like sameness. If they say they like their utility company, these are people that like sameness. So we want to correlate making a decision into same. But asking them these questions about what happens and getting them to agree. Oh no, if it went up 300 bucks, I'd switch. Oh no, I don't want to pay a $450 bill, dude. I'd freak out. Like no, I don't want that. It's like. Okay, well, that's exactly what's happening. They're going to be doubling your bill. And so you don't have to wait. You're probably the type of person that's a little bit more proactive, or do you just react? When stuff happens, you're always reacting, or do you respond before stuff happens? Are you the type of person that wants to jump out ahead of things, or do you want to be taken advantage of where you have to react and you have to scramble to figure out what you're going to do? What type of person are you?
Proactive is what they said.
Well, either one's going to work, bro, because we're going to take it either way. So you're proactive. Yeah, what we've seen with people that like to jump out ahead of things and know and have the control and know what they're looking at in the future, they love this opportunity because here's how it works. If you qualify and if we can do the project where you save you tens of thousands of dollars, but you will know what your bill is going to be for the next 25 years. People that like sameness, people that like the same exact bill that comes in and month out, it doesn't change throughout the season, love this because of the opportunity to be able to have absolute certainty, control, and predictability. So that's what we found. And I'm assuming based on what you told me that this is probably in alignment with what you want. You just don't know that yet because I'm at your door and you think that I'm trying to extract something more value than what we're going to give in return. So let us run the report. I don't know if your house is going to qualify. We have to send it to the engineers. And we have to make sure you qualify. I won't work with you if I can't save you 20%. I won't work with you if there's any out-of-pocket expense. I'm not going to waste your time. I'm not going to waste my time by coming back here. But you should feel comfortable knowing that we have to qualify you before we come back, right? Because it's going to be in alignment with what you want. And what I would compare this to is this is like, you know, your Cox bill going up to $300, $400 a month and you making a decision that you want to look around. We're a new electric company. Essentially how it works, we're a new electric company. And the benefit for you is we're substantially less than what the current rates are charging.
Okay.
So if you could get someone to admit that they're proactive, I personally don't think that same people aren't proactive. They're reactive anyways. But maybe they say, no, I'm not proactive. I'm react. Okay, cool. So let's just take it a different route because either way they go, you know specifically how to be able to help these people. So you're the type of person that waits for stuff to happen and then react, right? So, okay, gotcha. I understand. So you just wait till you're forced to make a decision because you get comfortable in the same decisions that you've made. Yeah, listen, we're not trying to ask you to get uncomfortable at this point. What we're doing is we're going to be able to take advantage of what this deal looks like today before this ends. Because here's the thing, once this ends, what we're going to have to do is like everybody is going to be freaking out because of the position that they're going to be in. The utility bills, once the bill is passed, the prices of energy are going to skyrocket through the roof. So, and then you're going to react, but you might not be able to react. You're going to be wondering what sacrifices you have to make to be able to pay the utility bill. So you're not the type of person that wants to sacrifice things, right? You don't want to sacrifice things. You want to keep it same and predictable and just absolute the same, I'm assuming, right? This is why you
Yeah.
that. So we're going to give you the opportunity to be able to have the exact same stuff that you're going to have for the foreseeable future. You're going to know specifically what these bills are going to be for the next 25 years. So this is usually we've had a lot of clients like yourself that love this opportunity because they like to keep stuff consistent. They like to keep stuff the same. They love to be able to know what they're looking at, have predictability, have certainty, and typically not have to do any changes, because once it's up there, you're never going to have to make any changes. In fact, you know what your bill is going to be for the next 25 years.
Yeah, that works.
So like either one of those, like so here's the thing is like, oh, I love this. Whatever someone tells you, get to the bottom of it. You don't have to have a deep human psychological analysis to be able to categorize people or just kind of understand where they're at. The other thing with you guys is going to retraining from Wednesday, but like we've got to actively listen. Like we've got to really actively listen to what people are telling us. But let me go back in here. So what we're going to do is you're going to extract mini commitments early. Okay. I'm going to hurry up with this. You're going to extract mini commitments early. Like if we can show you a plan that saves you tens of thousands of dollars without an investment, would this be something you would be open to looking at? And they're going to usually say yes. If they say no, you ask them, why isn't, just before I take off out of here, why is it that you don't want to see something that could potentially save you tens of thousands of dollars? Why wouldn't you want to look at that? Like you got to figure out why. Why wouldn't you want to look at it? They'll say some sort of concern, some sort of objection. Like, okay, well, I understand that. Yeah, 100%. I can see I can see why you would say that. But then you go back in and sell it. But the other thing is you loop it back later and leverage identity. So it's a two-step process. You extract many commitments early, and then what you do is you loop it back later and leverage identity. Just like when I sit with one-leggers and the husband says, "Yes, I make all the decisions," and at the end he's trying to make he's not trying to make a decision. What we want to know is we want to be able to put it into a position where he's going to make a decision based on what he made before. So and the loop back later, it's being extremely effective at coming back to their own words, especially when they get cold feet. For example, a prospect says, I just want to make sure I'm not getting into a scam, right? Anybody run into this? I think Reggie was kind of like inside this. Yeah, that's exactly why you're doing this. Because you're the type of person who doesn't fall for flashy scams. You do your homework, but you also take action when it's in alignment aligned with your values, right? So it's identity frame with the consistency bias with them making a decision. This ties in their desire for caution to need to act. So use the future pacing to cement consistency too. So like the future pacing is like, imagine the first time you open a summer bill and it's locked in at $195 and you used to pay $500. How does that make you feel? You feel like your future self is going to thank your current self for making a decision to do this. So frame opt out as safety, value, not an escape. The other thing is like the pullback on the doors, like, hey, I don't know if your house is going to qualify. We're going to run the report. I'll call you and let you know if we can't make this work. This gives people safety and it lowers the buying pressure inside of the context of a door-to-door sale or at the kitchen table. And I'm going to tell you how to like maximize the bias. If you guys are going to try and do this, it's get written or verbal commitments early. Like you got to get commitments early. You got to get, so like, if we could do this, would you be open to looking at this? You don't want to ask hard and closed questions. You want to ask very soft closed questions. Label them early. I always label everybody I meet with. If you guys have been with me on closes, if you guys have been with me on the doors, I'm going to identity frame or label these people into a box that they want to be. They're either at that box or they want to be in that box. Frame signing is alignment with who they already are. So I want to frame them making the solar consultation or them moving forward with their current identity. So use social proof to show people what like them or choosing solar. So I can tell stories. You guys can leverage anecdotes. If you've helped other people out in the neighborhood, maybe you have somebody that has the same story. Maybe it's somebody like, whatever the story is. This is why working in neighborhood and getting the anecdotes with other people are very, very important, because you can tell a story which people will inherently listen to. And then use identity anchoring over logic looping. So identity anchoring is probably the most pivotal decision making, elicits the biggest decision making, because it's going to anchor who they are with their identity into logic looping. So you want to loop these back in over and over again. One other thing too, before we end, how to use this, the consistency at the door. There's a very specific way that you're going to use this. So ask something that gets them to say they care about one of the core reasons why people go solar. Have you noticed how crazy utility prices are getting lately? Do you care more about savings each month or long-term stability? Do you want to put your AC at whatever temperature you want without worrying about paying the piper? If you can get them to admit that yes to any one of these, you can leverage this later on inside of the appointment, right? So if you can get them to say yes to any one of these, then when there's a tie down, and then we go back to that, and then what we're gonna do is it's gonna reflect their identity or the values. So it's very important that you guys be able to do these things, and you guys are asking questions and listening to the feedback they're gonna give you. So frame the appointment as a small step so it matches their commitment. So like this is the next logical step based on you said that you wanted to put the thermostat at whatever temperature you wanted. We're going to deliver that. And so making the setting up for the consultation is going to be in alignment with that. So you're not signing anything. You're just getting the facts. I don't have solar panels in my car. I can't sell them to you right now. What we're going to do is we're going to come back and we're going to show you how this program works. And then reinforce the commitment. So tied to the future action. So I'll put you down for 6 p.m. You're not the kind of person who flakes last minute, are you? What are they going to tell you? No, absolutely. I never flake.
No, show it.
Yeah, absolutely not. I don't flake. No. So they're gonna be like, no, I don't flake. So like, or you can be like, hey, like you're not taking food off my plate, but if you guys don't show up for our consultation, it's going to put us in a precarious position because we could have filled that with someone else. So just, I have your word that you're going to actually show up. You're going to show up on the consultation at that time. If something pops up, just let me know and shoot me a text and let me know before I come over. So don't pitch the appointment either, man. Never pitch the appointment. You're elicit a value or pain point, then offer appointment as the natural next step. What we want to do is we want to find out what their pain points are. Like we want to see the reaction from their pain points or the gravitation towards moving towards something that's a desired effect. And then what we want to do is that's what we're pitching. We're not pitching, hey, let us come show you how this works. Let us show you how this will benefit you. Let us show you how this will benefit you. Let us show you how this is in alignment with your goals, needs, and desires. So label the homeowner. You always want to label the homeowner as a smart homeowner, as someone that makes the decisions to do this. And next level, if you can leverage a story. I'm always leveraging stories on the doors or at the kitchen table with other clients that have made the decision that we're similar or very like-minded to the person that I'm with. So I'll try and send a PDF after they analyze this. I'll try and send a PDF and then send this out to you guys. Here's the big takeaway, man. If you can get people to make early on commitments, and then you can correlate the commitment, or you can correlate what they said to you into the decision of making a consultation or going solar, you will get these people every single time. That's as simple as it gets. We did a lot of a lot of stuff in here, but that's as simple as it gets. So if you guys can leverage and use this, you guys will make way more sales. You'll make way more consultations. You just have to correlate these mini agreements into a decision of making solar. So, hey, love you guys. I don't know if you see this. Here's the bell. How would you like to wear this knocking doors? What do you think? Hey, this is a preoccupation breaker right here.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Stay less.
I had it designed. I should have got True Grid. I wasn't thinking about it. I had to order it fast. It said built different, earned not given. So I think you guys should wear this on the doors. This would be badass to knock on the doors. It's going to break all their preoccupation. They're like, hey, the champ's in the house. Here's the champ. Hey, what is that? Oh, wow, that's a belt. Yeah, this is a belt. Yep, this is a belt. I won championship. I'd just be very vague about, oh, yeah, I won a championship. And then, like, it opens up whole dialogue. So, love you guys. Let's finish strong. It's anybody's race. Let's crush